You are listening to the Lawyer Stories podcast with host Benny Gold. Lawyer Stories was founded in July 2017 on Instagram and is an expanding global network of lawyers and law students sharing their personal journeys to the noble profession of the practice of law. Join us on this podcast as we dig deeper into these stories and hear from lawyers and law students from around the world in all areas of the legal profession. Here at Lawyer Stories, we believe that every lawyer has a story. What's yours?
Welcome to the Lawyer Stories podcast with Benny Gold. Today we have another special guest, and we'll get right back to her in a moment. But first, a message from our partner CallRail. How many high-value cases did you lose in the past year because your firm couldn't respond fast enough? 81% of law firms say slow response time cost them business, sometimes nearly a quarter of their annual revenue, believe it or not. That's why you need CallRail in 2026. Integrated into your case management system, CallRail helps you capture every call, even after hours, spot high-value leads instantly, respond faster, and gain the insights you need to bring in the bigger cases. Join over 3,000 law firms using CallRail to follow up faster, land bigger cases, and drive real growth. Start your free trial today at callrail.com/lawyer stories. Now, back to our guest. Welcome in. How are you? So, our guest today is Kseniya Stupak, partner at Strongin LLP based in Southern California. Originally from Sevastopol, Ukraine. Thank you. Kseniya moved to the U.S. at age 18 and built her career from the ground up. She taught herself English, which is crazy. She attended the University of Iowa, got a BA in sociology before graduating from Iowa Law, and today she's representing individuals and families in high-stakes PI cases involving catastrophic injury, wrongful death, product liability, med-mal, and Kseniya, welcome to Lawyer Stories.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no, it's great to see you. I know we've been on social media for a while, and it's good to finally get the story behind, how you guys are really building your practice and doing really well there at Strongin Law. I love to see it. So,
Absolutely.
yeah, for sure. So let's start from the beginning. Like, tell us what it was like growing up in Sevastopol. Did I say that? Sevastopol,
Yes.
Ukraine.
Well, it was amazing. It's actually very alike California climate-wise, but it used to be Ukraine. It is part of Russia now. So it's been amazing. I loved it there, but I'm very curious individual. So I've always wanted to be an attorney. And my goal was to be a judge back in Ukraine, but I moved to the United States at the age of 18, and I started my lawyer career in the United States.
So what made you want to move here, like to the U.S.?
Well, I was forced to move.
Okay.
No, my mom, she relocated to Iowa, and my purpose was to come along with her for a couple of months just to help her to get used to the culture, to the language. She didn't speak any English, just like me. So we both of us moved to Iowa.
I gotta ask, why Iowa? What was in Iowa? What was the draw?
Well, it's interesting. She met the love of her life back in Ukraine, in Kiev, and he happened to be Iowan. So they were debating back and forth between staying in Ukraine and moving to U.S., and they moved to United States.
Yeah, that'll do it. So they were in Iowa. So was he visiting the Ukraine at the time, and they just sort of met at the grocery market or something? And
yeah, he had business in Ukraine going back and forth, and they met. And yeah, he asked her to move to United States. That's how I came along with her to as an emotional support.
Yeah, no, I get it. I mean, this is all important stuff, like to your story, I think. And so was the whole, I mean, I don't want to get too into this, but like, was he like, we'll get married so you can be a citizen type thing? Or like, was that part of it? And then, you're coming to Ukraine as her, I mean, to US as her daughter at 18. And then like, when did you make the move over? Like, was she here for a while before you were?
No, actually, we came together. We came together for a couple of months, and then they got married. And my plan was to come back to Ukraine because I was enrolled at the university at that point. Because in Russia, Ukraine, you graduate when high school when you're 16.
Okay.
So I started my journey at the university and completed my first year. And then I took an academic break to come to United States to support my mom and was planning on coming back. So, but that never happened.
Okay. All right. So tell me about like the path leading up to law school, like when you were in the US.
Sure. I started my journey at just the community college learning English. I came to this country knowing nothing, no language, no culture, no people around. So I love people, I love talking, but I decided, it was my time to start learning English. So I enrolled at a community college and graduated from English second language courses. I graduated super early. I think it was a 2-year program. It took me a year to
Yeah.
do because I was constantly educating myself, learning, trying to talk to people. It's so funny because after a year, I felt like I was a smart dog. I understand people, but I cannot speak. It
Oh,
was
yeah.
pretty funny moments
But that's
in
incredible.
my
So after a year, you started to understand. Well, when you came over, could you understand people, or you just couldn't speak it?
right. No, when I moved to United States, I could not speak or understand.
Okay.
So, but I was exposed only to English language when I moved to Iowa. First of all, there was no Russians in there. The Russian community is pretty tight, especially at that
Yeah.
point. It was 20
Right.
years ago. So, and then, I just surrounded myself with school, with international people, with a lot of English speakers, TV and books and everything. My goal was to, I was thinking, I'm already here. I can always go back
Yeah.
and get my degree in Ukraine on my own language, in my own language, but I'm here. There's got to be a reason why I'm here. Why don't I just try to learn English and see if I can become a lawyer here? So
Yeah.
that was my goal.
I mean, that's incredible. But like, let's just talk about the learning English and understanding English piece of that. I mean, that's rare. I feel like, I mean, you really wanted to do that bad. Like, how do you do that so quickly, or how do you get that over time?
Well, I think it's just the exposure with, Americans. And my mom was the only person I spoke Russian with. And I was always in school. I was a full-time student. I was working at the banquet service as a waiter at
Right.
the
Right.
store. So I was constantly trying to talk to people,
Sure.
and trying to meet people and understand. I loved watching comedy shows because I
Okay.
was clueless what they saying. Especially, they have accents, they have jokes, they talk about
Yeah.
politics, but everybody's
And like
laughing.
sarcasm too. Like, how do you pick up on the nuances of things? That's got to be so difficult.
It is. I don't even know, maybe because I'm sarcastic and it's
Okay.
just
All
my
right. Fair
nature.
enough. Fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah, no, that's really, I think that's like a really, do you ever think about it back then? Like how it like, do you ever like sort of have like a flashback where you're like back in like, or maybe not a flashback, I don't know, flashback or maybe like a thought back to like those days and, then you look down at like a case that you have in front of you that's going to settle for, a lot of money or, a trial, somebody who's trusting themselves in you to be their lawyer. Like, do you ever have those moments?
I don't, but sometimes when, there's a lot of pressure, when I am dealing with a difficult case, and I'm going through my client's story, and I know that I need to bring this story to life through me, through witnesses, right? Because my client is not going to be at the spotlight for a long time. I always, when it's really hard and difficult, I always go back and think about, what were other difficult moments in my life, and the moments where, I wanted to speak, I wanted to talk, but I just couldn't express myself,
Right.
And I related to my clients thinking that they're in the same shoes right now. They want to be heard, right? And that's why I am here to ask questions from the witnesses, from the experts, talk to the jury, to bring their story to life, because they are the ones who cannot speak, just like I couldn't have done this before,
Right.
So I do go back, I do relate to my own story all the time.
Right. So when was it that you said to yourself, I mean, you're going to this like 2 year school, you get through it in 1 year, you said, and you're surrounding yourself with people like speaking English, learning the language. Like, when were you just like, I want to go to law school? Like, how did that all come about?
I learned some basic English through the ESL program, and I applied to paralegal to get a paralegal degree. And I mean, people were laughing at me, saying, I couldn't even speak English. Where are you going? Do you understand? It's law. And I love challenges, I guess. And when people tell me I cannot do it,
Yeah.
I'll prove them wrong. So it's just my personality. So I just couldn't stop. I got through the paralegal degree at in Iowa, and then I applied to the University of Iowa right away.
Right.
Got the bachelor degree. I graduated, full scholarships.
Wow.
And
What did you study at Iowa?
I studied sociology and philosophy.
Okay. Wow.
Really enjoyed it. But I was always really, really good in math. I don't know why.
Wow. That's pretty cool.
Really good in math, but
pretty cool.
I got a lot of scholarships to go and get PhD in math. But I was like, no, I have a goal. I want to be a lawyer. So while in school, I've worked at the law firm, working with the criminal defense lawyers. I worked at the workers' compensation, personal injury lawyers. So I wanted to see, am I ready for the law school? Is that something that fits me? Do I really like it? And I totally love practice law.
What about like, so you're in paralegal school, and like, do you feel like a lot of the people were going to go on to into law school, or were you sort of like, were you just like, I'm a hustler, I want to keep going, I want to move forward with my education, like I'm going to law school, and these people were sort of like, I'm just gonna, this is a good career path for me, I'm gonna be a paralegal type of thing?
Well, there were moments when I got a position right after I graduated from paralegal school. I got a position at the firm. They had a competition. They chose 2 people out of 120 students, and offered position them at the firm. And I denied because I had a goal. It would have been a great opportunity, but I knew that it would postpone my goal.
Sure.
So I wanted to go to law school, and I went straight ahead after got my bachelor degree right to University of Iowa. I only applied to University of Iowa because I was already there.
Right.
And in Russia, Ukraine, we have completely different school education and, schooling system, education system. So usually you stick in one place, you're born in the city and you kind of stay there and you find work there and you go to school. For me, it was completely shocking that, I can actually apply to several law schools and then find housing somewhere in a different state. So I think it was
So,
I didn't even think about it then.
so was it because your mother was there at the time, or like, I mean, because sometimes people go to the States and they're like, hey, like I want to check out LA, I want to check out New York, I want to check out Boston, I want to check out, So was that ever of interest to you, like when you were there? Because you're over there in Iowa. Not that it's probably a fantastic place, but like, did that ever sort of was that on your radar at all?
Well, at that point, I started a family, and I my son was born. So it was difficult for me even to think about going to a different state. My husband, he worked in Iowa. We had home in Iowa.
Yeah, of course.
Everything
Okay,
was
gotcha.
local, was there and convenient, I guess. So I didn't even think about any other
Okay,
school.
and this was
I
when you were
applied.
paralegal school. You had a okay. So tell me about your law school experience a little bit.
It was crazy. It was definitely a boot camp, especially first year. It was extremely difficult. I thought that I spoke English when I started law school, but I didn't. Especially, first year
Well,
of law
nobody
school, you
does.
read
Yeah.
all this old language, torts and property law, and I was like, and I had
Yeah.
this cute dictionary, like Russian English, English Russian dictionary, and I realized that I have to translate every single word
That's
because I was
crazy.
clueless what I was reading. So I just threw it away. I was like, okay, I'll just have to read, and it will come to me. It will
Right.
come to me. So it was super difficult, but it's ironic that I do not like school. I've been in school all my life, but I
Yeah.
hate going through school. I love working, I love being a lawyer.
Yeah.
But going through school is something that I don't know. I don't relate. It's not like a real life to me. It's just a step that I have to complete to go to real life, right? To
Yeah.
be
Yeah.
someone.
Right.
So in law school, um, first year, I applied. I created a program at the University of Iowa where students would get an opportunity to work. And I applied to the Department of Justice,
Oh,
and I went through the background check, through the testing, and I was accepted to work as an extern for the whole semester. So my second year of law school started in California because I was
wow.
invited to work in DC, Texas, Seattle, Miami, and Riverside, California.
Okay.
So I chose Riverside,
There
California.
you
I don't
go.
know why. Don't ask why. I just like, well, it just sounds right.
Yeah. Why not?
So I went and worked at the United States Attorney's Office, going back and forth between LA and Riverside. I spent my semester there. It was the best experience of my life. I actually got the provisional licenses. I tried cases. I tried criminal misdemeanor trials. So, I mean, it was the best experience of my life. And that was the reassurance that, yes, I am a lawyer,
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
belong in trial.
Right.
Loved it.
Let me ask you a question before we get into sort of like what you're doing now, or like more of your other items. Like, did you ever think about getting into like immigration law?
Yeah, well, being immigrant myself,
Yeah.
and actually I brought my brother in here and I helped many,
Okay.
many people. And that's what I do as a pro bono.
Okay.
I help Russian speakers, especially, with the Ukraine situation right
Right.
now. Many
Right.
people came from Ukraine. So I'm always welcoming people to contact me and help them with the paperwork, whatever I can do at this point. But I thought about it. Um, but I don't know why. I've always wanted to be a criminal law lawyer.
Sure.
And I've tried the federal and state defense. I was in a at the Public Defender's Office. I did the AUSA at the Southern District of Iowa and Central District of California. I tried both sides. And after I graduated, I worked for the DOJ, and then I decided to try something different. That's how I ended up doing personal injury. But to answer your question about immigration law, I am not doing immigration law. I'm just doing some pro bono work.
Okay. So you're still helping your community, so to speak, like in
Yes.
terms of like that's even better. And so I mean, you're taking pro bono cases. People are coming to you for help and guidance. That's great.
Hi, I'm John Morgan. I didn't wake up one day with the largest injury firm in America. I started with one office and a choice: grow or die. I took calculated risk, built my team, and made lots of mistakes along the way, but also built systems and procedures to avoid those mistakes in the future. I'm doing one seminar, one time, to show you how I did it.
Join me at the Win in Vegas on June 9th. Use code STORIES20.
So tell me about like when you were in private practice, you faced some of the largest corporations in the world, like Hyundai, BMW, Nissan. So like, what's it like stepping into those sort of legal battles?
It's exciting, especially going against huge corporations, like you just mentioned, and try cases against BMW or against Honda. It's really rewarding because I understand the purpose. I understand that I am my client's only chance. So I mean, I'm fearless. I really don't care how many lawyers go against me. It's just, I think it drives me to prove people wrong, to show them that it doesn't matter how many people are on your side. You just need one good quality professional or, authentic person. And you need to just tell the jury the story.
Yeah,
That's your goal.
yeah,
Just tell the story.
yeah. That makes sense to me. So what would you say separates a good trial lawyer from a great one in like high stakes litigation?
Authenticity. I think you have to be who you are. And I am telling through my story. I've tried to get rid of my accent. I've attended classes, I went through taking classes through actors and, they were working on
Good.
my speech. I work with speech pathologists. And then I realized at one point that, I just have to be me. I have to embrace it. And, and I'm okay being vulnerable sometime, and I show it to the jury. I make fun of my accent because that's just me. I do it, butcher words all the
Yeah.
time.
Okay.
You'll be watching this episode. You'll be
Yeah.
like, what?
No.
I do it all the time, but I think that's what makes me,
Yeah.
and I think authenticity is the best thing that could be, because we work with people, and you can be an incredibly smart lawyer, Harvard graduate or, whatever. You can have a lot of legal knowledge, but if you're trying to be someone you are not, that's a fail. People will
Yeah.
see it. So I embrace my accent and my culture, and I am very authentic.
I love that. And that's sort of like what Lawyer Stories is kind of all about. Like, people sharing their stories, not making them weak advocates, just sort of like telling everybody, like talking about like why they went to the practice of law. And, but I love that you use the word authenticity. Like, why is that? It seems like from what I hear, like you own your story, like you own who you are. Like, what would you give somebody for advice who's having like trouble sort of owning like who they are, or maybe like they have something they don't think they're so good at, and maybe there's something they're good at? Like, what advice would you give somebody, Kseniya?
Well, I think you just have to be the best version of yourself. And if you are 1% better today than yesterday, that's incredible.
Right.
That's absolutely incredible. I know that I don't know so many things. And if I after a hard work day, I go home and I was like, okay, what did I learn today? Did I improve myself today? And every single day is a yes. Every single day, I learned something different or new. I talk to a new person. And sometimes at the end of the day, if I feel, I haven't accomplished anything, I just go to the grocery store and start talking to cashier like it's a jury. And I just start asking questions.
Yeah.
And I see especially the most awkward person, and then
Really.
this person's like, okay, don't talk to me. At the end of the day, by the
What do
time
you
I
ask?
make
What
my
are you asking
purchase,
the What are you asking the cashier though? Hold on.
oh my gosh, your outfit,
Okay.
oh my God, your nails. Okay, when did you do the nails? Where do you go? Like, and that's how I start. And there's like, what do you do? Oh, what do you do for fun? And sometimes, especially before the jury selection, I have some questions in mind and I just practice it on complete strangers. And grocery store is the best place for me.
That's
So
amazing. So tell me that again. I love that. So you have questions for jury selection and like you do it you like practice in like random people at the that is like
absolutely.
that's cool. Like tell me a little give me like a little situation about that. Tell me.
Oh, well, sometimes, I know it's a very conservative uh, s- jury pool, right? And I want to find out how can I ask those questions about, Republican, Democrat, about Trump, about those sort of questions, right? Because maybe my client wrote on internet a lot of political opinions, and I know it's going to come in through the defense lawyers, and I don't want to shock jury about this, right?
Right.
And I don't want the jury be against my client just because of my client's political views. So I'll just ask question at the cashier. I'll just like, hey, have you seen the news? What do you think about Trump? And I'll
Wow.
start to kind of play along and then go a little bit controversial questions. So it's like, but I always like, yeah, thank you for sharing this with
Yeah,
me.
yeah,
I
yeah.
really appreciate it. So then people, believe it or not, people don't want to talk, but then
Yeah, they start
after like
going. It's
30
like,
seconds, they're like, ask
oh,
me more, ask me more,
I
ask me
know.
more. It's
Yeah, it's smart. That's amazing. I love that. That's so cool. So did you have a mentor? Like, did you ever meet somebody along the way who mentored you a little bit?
I did not.
Okay.
But I've done, I've read a lot of books and I attended many, many conferences.
Okay, cool.
So, Trial Lawyers University is absolutely incredible
Yep.
conference, where you learn from people, I don't think I've ever invented anything of my own. Everything that I've ever done in trial, I'm trying to be authentic, but I always take tips. I always learn from others, and I see if it fits me, if it fits my personality, if it's natural to me or not. But pretty much everybody's been my mentor through the conferences, and I always keep in touch with people,
Yeah,
and I
it's
love
amazing.
asking questions.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. So tell us about your current firm. Like, tell us when you got there. Tell us who's coming to you for help. What cases you're taking. Tell us everything.
I am currently with Strongin LLP, and I have two partners, Eric Strongin and Dan Levy, and I've learned so much from them. We do product liability cases. We do a lot of toxic exposure cases,
Wow.
catastrophic injuries. So I know not a lot of firms do in mold cases, and we do. And we take them seriously. Um,
Do what
we,
cases? Say that again, Ksenia.
yes, mold cases, mold exposure
Mold.
cases.
Okay, perfect. Yep. Okay.
So, and I actually, when I joined the firm, I came from product liability firm.
Hmm.
I knew nothing about mold, and I've learned everything from my partner, Eric Strongin. He's just a guru. He's been doing
Guru.
it for a
Love it.
long time.
Yep.
And I mean, I learn every day new things about the cases, about the strategy, and we try cases together. We like, we love trying cases. So Eric and I usually partner up on a case, whether it's his case or my case. Dan and Eric's doing their cases as well. So, it's the mold case is a lengthy process. Litigation is pretty lengthy because there's always, within large corporations, for example, like the Irvine company, they have insurance companies that's covering them. But the thing is, mold is excluded, right? In Florida, California, and many, many states,
Right.
mold is excluded from coverage. So there is always a huge battle.
Mm.
But we've been doing pretty well. And I think the reason for that, again, we're going back to, having great clients and being authentic and trying to present the client's story, and I think that's what when we thrive.
Are you taking mold cases everywhere or just in California?
We do some Arizona cases as well,
Okay.
mold Arizona cases, but mostly it's in California.
Okay. So tell me, like, instead of, you're helping people pro bono with the immigration and that sort of thing, you thought about criminal law, like, what draws you to, like, your practice on, like, catastrophic injury, complex personal injury, and mold?
I think it's the client. It's the client's story that is very different than being a prosecutor, for example,
Yeah.
right? So I feel like I'm on the right side, and I like to take a client who's completely, the case it's especially the weak case, but I see that I have a genuine client and the client is hurt. And I understand that no one would take this case. And usually, especially with mold cases, no one wants to take the case,
Right.
And I think that's where I get satisfaction to take the case, work up the case, work with great experts, and through this process, help client to heal, help client to be better. Because especially mold cases, they're very controversial cases. 50% saying, hey, mold is nothing, and 50% of population saying, no, it's really toxic, it affects your neurological system, and so forth. So it's it's such a joy to put it all together, to see that the client is feeling better because I align my client with the right professionals, right? So they
Okay.
have the right help to heal, and then experts, and then work with scientists, work on the
Wow.
science, work with
That's
doctors.
that's so much to put together. You're putting like so much together. I mean, it's like, I've talked to other attorneys and it's like putting together this huge puzzle. I mean, it's like, where do you even start? It really takes a special person an attorney to be able to like do all those things. So that's incredible.
But I think that's what you were talking about, mentor. My partner Eric Strongin is my mentor in
Okay.
mold cases,
Good.
especially. I mean, he knows, he's super knowledgeable.
Yeah. Yep.
I I remember when I joined the firm, um, they would be talking about something. I was like, oh my gosh, I feel like I am back, 18 years old,
Right,
not
right,
knowing
right,
any
right.
English
And you're running
whatsoever.
back to your computer like this, like with your notes, like let me look that up. Yeah, I mean that's how it is though, right?
But it's so cool right now to understand the process, to get
Yeah.
all these pieces of the puzzle, and put them together, and present it to the jury. It's so rewarding.
Yeah. No, that's amazing. What do you think makes the difference between like complex litigation and like regular litigation? Or no, rather, sorry, strike that. Rather, complex personal injury and regular personal injury. Because you're doing the complex stuff, and I can hear it just by all the pieces you have to put together with. That's how I would view it, That it's not just like a car case. Not that car cases are easy, but it's not a car crash. It's more like, you need to bring in the expert from this person. You need to bring in that person, that sort of thing.
It's a lot of gray area. I think that's when it becomes complex. It's not like a black and white. Okay, you had a car accident. Who do you need? You need expert. Well, what do we have? We have injury to the spinal cord, or we have TBI. Okay, we need this doctor, that doctor, right? With mold cases or complex tort cases, you think, okay, interviewing the client tells you a lot, and before and after witnesses help you a lot to get a picture of who this person was before and after, and how this event particularly affected this person, right? So I'm thinking about, okay, do we need neurologists? Do we need psychologists, psychiatrists? And getting expert by expert and talking to them, they helping us to open our eyes and understand how complex is the issue, what are the real injuries are, right? And then how are we who are going to pay for those injuries, right? Because car,
Who has
you have car
insurance
crash,
and that whole thing.
you
So like the whole like finding the witness, the finding the expert witnesses, is it like just trying to like, how do you figure out who you're going to get? I mean, is it just everything's kind of different with complex injuries, right? So it's just sort of like, I'm going to call this person. I think it has to do with psychological, that sort of thing.
It starts with, what are your symptoms? What are your injuries? We have people who have brain damage as a result of mold exposure, right? So you kind of talk to them, you interview the client. Client is the goal, right? That's your key. I used to remember this, and I don't have any short-term memory anymore, right? Or I don't remember what's this person's name, and I met them 2 minutes ago. Okay, so you're thinking, okay, maybe I need, MRI. I need a neurologist. I need to talk to a neurologist about this. Okay, maybe I need psychologist. And then it's a chain. You get one doctor. And then the doctor is like, well, I think your client needs to see a physiatrist. Your client needs to see ophthalmologist because of there's a lot of vision problems. And it's a link, and you just need to listen to your client. And I think that's always the key. We lawyers always think we know better.
Yeah,
especially
you know better. We all know better.
Yeah, but then you listen to your client, was like, okay, I think I should set this aside. We don't need pulmonologists because I think the client does not have any problems breathing. I think we need to focus on the brain. Let's move through the DTI. So it's kind of listen to the client.
Right. Okay. So Strongin, LLP. There's so much competition in like California, LA. Like there's so many firms, who are doing things. Like, what would you say like differentiates Strongin?
I think we are very family oriented, and we are always available for the client. I know we can't compete with huge firms, right? But I think we found our niche. We focus on the toxic exposure cases, and a lot of clients come to us from the word of mouth or from the referral. A lot of lawyers refer cases to me because they don't work with mold clients, right? So I think we are very friendly, and we prioritize the clients and always available for them. I think that's what, I know that I worked at the firms where, you have to go through the intake process. You have to talk to paralegal and then the second paralegal and then case manager before you
Not
get a
if you get with CallRail, the people we talked about earlier, like they have voice assist. You guys should check them out. Anyway, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I will.
They're
I
great.
will. I will. Okay. So I think it's just who we are, and our clients always refer
Yeah.
other clients to
Gotcha.
us.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. I love the family approach. I love knowing that you're always available. I mean, communication. Actually, Kseniya, I hope you'll join us. I'm doing a CLE later in the month, the last day of the month, with another brand, and we're talking about communication and clients and one credit. Tell your friends, and it's I think like that's the most important thing is communication because people come into you right, and they're so like they're in like the worst part of one of the worst things in their life has happened, and you want to make sure that you're there for them and like you have communication and they're not have to wait. I mean, those 24 hours waiting to hear from somebody or 48 hours could be brutal, especially if there's a catastrophic injury, if they think if they open the wall or something, they see mold all like, down in there. I mean, I think that that's a good thing to focus on and hear.
Absolutely.
I want to ask you a question about your personal drive, Kseniya. So you've described yourself as someone who thrives on movement, right? Like you, boxing, dancing, the courtroom. So how does that energy influence your work as a lawyer?
I mean, it's all dedication, right? I try to give 100% no matter what I do. I wake up 4 a.m. and I'm at the gym. I love boxing. I love working out. And I think that what gives me a lot of energy. My kids, I have 3 children, so they give me a plenty of energy. They take my energy too.
You can tell me their ages later because I'm curious, but anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. So they're a lot of work. I'm very busy, but I think it's just my personality. I love being busy. I can't, and I think that's part of me leaving Department of Justice because it was kind of, 9 to 5, and you don't have like a huge deadline or anything. I was extremely bored. So I need clients, I need phone calls, I need my friends in my life.
Yep.
And I'm trying to separate my work and my personal life. It doesn't work. I tried that. I think it's still everything is on the
well,
wall.
I think that's so important. I think in this day and age, like, I think it's so important to sort of like be able to be. It sounds, I don't know if it sounds cliche or cheesy, but you just want to be who you are. You know what I'm saying? Like if you have to like go and do your boxing and like study something or like maybe you want, I just think to interweave things is like okay if that's like who you are. Like why do we have to like have like it be black and white? You know what I'm saying? Like all the time. Like why does it have to be like one thing here, one thing there? I mean, if that's what makes you like the whole person, like that's the way you should go about it, especially if it makes you like 100% of your person and it makes you the best version of yourself. I feel the same way. So I mean, I think that's kind of what you're speaking to.
Yeah. I go to the meet my friends and I listen to the lawyers podcasts,
You listen to the what? You listen to what?
Podcast, the lawyers talking about jury selection, like
Why
I'm
you listen
watching
to that
both
one? You should be
podcasts.
listening to this one.
I am, like I'm the other day I was driving to Long Beach courthouse and to the jury selection and I was listening to one of your
Really?
podcasts.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I listened to Keith Mitnick about opening statement and it's Selection the Justice. Dan Kramer has incredible podcast. So I'm listening to his podcast a lot as well. So I'm
It's all right. You didn't have to say you were listening to Lawyer Story. It's all good. But
I
yes.
love it. No, I love it. I truly love it. That's what makes me. I combine my work and personal life together. You're right. That's how I thrive. And you said that's
I
how you
agree.
thrive as
Look,
well.
some people have I think some people have jobs where they go and they punch in and they're there for like 8 hours, and that's a job. And then they play guitar at night, or they are a magician, or they have something like different, right? Off the clock. It's something different. It gives them purpose. It gives them passion. But there's also people who like look at their job as a career. And if you have a career that's so important, it kind of intertwines with like the rest of what you do. And I think people have to be able to recognize that. That's because I
Absolutely.
obviously like, that's coming from a place where I feel that too, because this isn't my full-time job. But I totally that's just my opinion on it anyway. So all right, well, so moving on. Thank you for letting me. This is about you, but I had to get my opinion out there. Um,
Thank you.
so you talk about creating a little beautiful chaos. What does that phrase mean to you personally and professionally?
Well, okay, sometimes in the middle of the workday, I just turn on the music and I start screaming at people as I gather. I have special lights in the office. I turn off the lights and there is like a dance going on, okay?
Yep.
And everybody must dance.
Really?
Yes.
What kind of music?
Well, I like techno music.
I love it.
Um,
Do you have
I
any good
love,
suggestions for techno you could send me?
I will.
Okay. Yeah, I'd like
I
to
will.
get some new music.
Okay.
Anyway, go ahead. Tell me more.
So I like dancing. I, like the spontaneous videos. Sometimes, look up some idea on TikTok and I was like, okay,
Yeah,
I'm totally gonna prank my partners. And, I prank them all the time. But we have a rule, it's just a one-way street. I can prank them, they
they
cannot
can't
prank
do it to you. Okay. Well, that was like the next thing I was going to bring up. Like your social media is amazing. Like, how do you think that helps with like, have you gotten cases from social media and and B, like, do you think that brings like some fun to your firm?
I wouldn't say I got cases
Yeah.
because of my silly videos, nicely
Yeah.
nicely said, silly videos. But a lot of my clients following me on the social media,
Okay.
and they do see me. This is me,
This
right?
is me. Yeah.
I am me with them, and I am me on social media. So I don't fake it, in real life as a mom, as a wife, as
Right.
a, professional, it is me. So, and I think they appreciate it and, they constantly comment and on my, social media. But I don't think it's a client generating
Sure.
machine, I would
Sure.
say, but it's something that just shows,
Personality.
my personality,
Yeah.
our office culture, because
Right.
that's who we are and that's exactly what we do, We're always busy, but we always will find couple minutes for fun. Like it's a must.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, what if your client goes and Googles you? Like, I mean, they don't only need to see your biography, right, on your law firm website. They could see a podcast or like you doing something like cool, like on social media, and they can get to know you a little bit. I think that humanizes the profession, right?
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
so when you look back at the 18-year-old Kseniya version of yourself living or arriving in America, what would she think of the life that you've built?
I think I'm doing pretty good.
Hmm.
I think from time to time, I'm proud of me.
Good.
You know, what if your question was a little bit different? What could have you told 18-year-old Ksenia?
Hmm.
I would have said probably something to tough it up. It's gonna be
Yeah.
a journey, buckle up.
Buckle up.
But
Yeah.
yeah, buckle up. I have no regrets. I absolutely love what I do, and I am so grateful for my mom's idea. Even though I did not want to come to United States, I thought that I have my life, my future, my boyfriend, everything was all set up.
Right.
But I am extremely grateful because it opened up a different opportunity and the right one. I do believe I would have been a lawyer back in Russia or Ukraine, but I think I'm in the right place right now and doing the right thing.
Yeah,
That's I'm confident about.
that's any ties to Iowa still, or no?
I have a lot of friends in Iowa, but I built my everything around me here, I think.
Yeah.
A lot of my friends and my family's here. So
Okay.
I brought my mom, I brought my brother, they are here. So I'm very happy about
That's
that.
amazing. Well, congrats on all your success. I mean, you could tell you're a happy
Thank-
person. And is there anything else that you wanted to share with the Lawyer Stories community today?
No, now I think you guys know everything about me.
Not enough. Hold on. No, I'm just kidding. No, that's great. No, it was really cool. So just parting words, like if a young lawyer or immigrant listening today wants to build a bold career like yours, give us some advice.
Just do it. Do not be afraid. Do not look back. Just do it. There's never the right time for a career, for a family, for anything. You just do it no matter what. That's it.
Love it. All right. Kseniya, thank you so much. Kseniya
Thank
Stupak
you.
with Strongin LLP, LLC.
LLP,
LLP.
Strongin LLP. Yeah.
Thank you
That's us.
thank you for coming on. Please stay right there. Everybody else, thanks for tuning in, and wherever you are in the world today, enjoy yourselves. Cheers.